Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to a very special sports edition of In the Loop Media. Hello, I am your host, Joel Lane. I'm representing In the Loop Media, and this man here right beside me probably doesn't even need no introduction. He's a Grey Cup champion of course, himself. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my guest, the great Andre Durie, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, thanks for having me, buddy. Thanks for having me.
So can you please tell me your story?
Yeah, of course. I think everybody has their own challenges and struggles in life, so it all depends on how that person perceives it, right? I wouldn't say someone's challenge is worse than another's, but we all have our story, right? And the way that it's kind of paved out for you is the way that you take it and you work towards it, and you use all the support systems around you to help you overcome those things. And that's what I kind of did with my story. And I was a young athlete at the time. I had two very young children. I was going to college and trying to make a life for myself and my kids and play a professional sport for a living. And it was a passion of mine growing up. And in college, I hurt myself pretty badly. I injured my knee to the point where I was paralyzed from my knee down to my foot. It's where you lose function of your lower leg, and you can't move it. And if you can't move your leg, it's really hard to run, right? It's hard to play a sport when the main thing on your body isn't working. So it was pretty devastating at the time, and I didn't know what to do. I had two children that were really young. I was still in school. I was working, and now I couldn't work because my foot was injured, and it was just a horrible time in my life mentally, because I was always down on myself. The self-pity, the whys is happening to me, and it took my support systems at the time to really kind of kickstart me. And they told me that, they were kind of, you know what, we're not letting you feel sorry for yourself anymore. We're not letting you mope around. We know you're stronger than that. We're going to treat you just like you were when you were healthy. And to me, that was probably the biggest thing that helped me, because I was so down on myself and always putting myself down in that negative kind of like pool the whole time. That kickstart of positivity and strength was what I needed to start, keeping that chain of positivity going. So from there, I started going to therapy a lot, dedicating a lot of time to therapy and understanding how the body works, and really putting an effort to not try and come back and play football, but to be able to get function back so I could play with my kids normally, and do the normal things around the house, like vacuum and sweep, without having to have crutches and walk around. About a year of doing that, I was kind of sent a blessing in a way. And I remember I always used to sit on my couch with my kids, and I always used to look at my foot and just wish that it would just move. And I just felt something in my foot. Like, I would always look at it and just try and move it. And then I just felt something. You couldn't see it, but I just felt like almost like electricity just go right to my toe. And I remember I just got this sensation of happiness. And I got into the car that same day, drove to my therapist, and I was like, I think I can move my foot. I think I can move my foot. And we sat there, and she was like, I don't think you can move it, but I felt it. And I knew I felt it. And every day at therapy, I'd be trying to do it. And then it got to a point where we all saw it. We all saw that toe moving. And that little glimpse of hope started spiraling into more hope, and more hope, and more hope, and then more support. And that's kind of what helped me kind of get back on the path. And then, lo and behold, I was able to lift my foot enough to start training again. I was able to lift it up to start running again. I ended up getting an opportunity from the Argonauts to try and play. They didn't have much. They didn't really think that I was going to be able to do it, because I was a paralyzed kid a year ago, and then they gave me a shot, and I did it. I proved to them that I was more than just, you know, that injury case that kind of, I know it might be bad to say, but that damaged goods kind of thing, you know. And they ended up signing me in 2007. So there's the guys, you probably see it all the time in the NFL. The hot guys are those big draft picks. They go number 1, number 2, and everybody's raving about them. But then there's the lower guys that you never hear about. Some guys don't even get drafted. Some guys are just allowed to walk on the team, and 90% of the time those guys get cut. So I was one of those guys that was just allowed to walk on the team. I didn't get drafted. I was put in the draft, and I didn't get drafted because of the knee injury. And this coming from 2 years ago when I was high on the draft pick. So that kind of shows you how they look at you differently in sports. And so they allowed me to pretty much walk on the team. And Pinball was the coach at that time. And Pinball gave me the opportunity to walk on, and like I just told you, 90% of the time those guys get cut. After training camp, he ended up signing me, but to a practice roster spot. So again, there's 2 types. There's the guys that are starting, and then there's the guys that are just practicing. All right, so those guys never get to play. About the 3rd or 4th game in the season, Pinball came into the room, and he's like, Durie, in front of all the guys, he said, "You're going to play this week. You're going to play this week. So be prepared." So that just blew my mind. Like Pinball, the guy that I've been watching since I was a kid, is my coach for one, and now he's giving me the opportunity of a lifetime to just play the sport. I didn't get much time that game. They had me just doing odd jobs, whatever. And we were kicking Calgary's butt. We were probably about 30-0 or something like that. It was pretty bad. And then Pinball came to me on the sidelines, and he's like, "I'm going to put you in running back." And that's pretty big. So I wasn't doing nothing all game, and he comes to me and he's like, "I'm going to put you in the running back, and you're going to go play." And he's like, "Don't stop running." And I told him, "I'm not going to stop running." So that first play, he gave me the ball. I took it 33 yards to the house for a touchdown. And that was kind of like the solidifying moment that I felt that, you know what, I'm back. All that struggle, all the support, all the dedication, all the people that believed in me, and even when I didn't believe in myself, they believed in me. All that kind of encompassed into that one moment. And, that's kind of my story of coming back in the football sense.
Wow. I mean, ladies and gentlemen and people all around the world watching, I mean, if people don't know about adversity and hearing someone come over, well, you just got your story today, ladies and gentlemen, by, of course, the Grey Cup champion right here, Mr. Andre Durie. So I would just like to take this time from In the Loop Media to thank you for coming out and sharing your success story and giving a lot of people hope that if, you know, you don't let people tell you you can't do this or you can't do that, because one day you're going to prove them wrong. So I would just like to say thank you for your valuable time. And as always, this is Jolene reporting from In the Loop Media, of course, with my very special guest, Andre Durie. And until next time, people, take care of yourself and each other.